Passport enthusiasts, this is Havoc, and I couldn't wait to do the complete setup video, the last one in this series, I would believe, because a lot of parts came in and I was just getting really eager, and actually my new recording equipment came in, so I wanted to test that as well. So you notice the video is not shaky, and I'm able to use two hands. So I thought what I would do is talk about some stock things and also some purchases of some products to complete this. That is the test engine, and you'll notice that, boy, it doesn't look like the test engine of my past video. If you look at my last video, you'll see a very gummed up, dirty test engine, and I got a lot of emails from friends of my group who told me don't be putting new pistons and new cylinders and new heads on a dirty block like that. They were cringing. And you know, they made a lot of sense, and it was true. I was just being lazy. So I was told to get this product called Super Clean Foaming, and spray your carburetor, your engine with, not your carburetor, but your engine. Well, yeah, I guess you could use it on your carburetor, but I did. So I sprayed my engine with it, and I waited 5 minutes and washed it off. And I mean, all the grease and grime just melted away. So seriously, that was just done with spraying, waiting 5 minutes, and then washing it off. No wiping, no scrubbing. So pretty cool product. Super Clean Foaming. I thought I'd throw that in there so that you could see some other things that I wanted to throw in. If you have a bike that is having problems with its revving at, say, you're cruising at about 45 miles an hour and the bike just starts doing this really weird 42, 45, and you're on a flat street and it just revving up ever so lightly, but it's methodical, you know. Change your chain, your drive chain. Doing that alone will fix that problem. If your valves are adjusted correctly and your carburetor is in sync and everything's right, you can't figure out what it is. If you got an old tire chain, change it. Watch what happens. The other thing, when I was into reserve tank, and my bike was giving me problems. It was stalling, it was hard starting, at higher RPM, it just wouldn't run right. And what was happening was I have two filters on my bike. Even though they weren't clogged, they were still restrictive. And this is a gravity feed system. It was having problems sucking the remnants of my fuel. And when you're on long cruises, especially my bike, because it's a little hotter than a stock C70, it doesn't necessarily get 100 miles to a gallon. So I was running into issues with fuel feed. So I was told to go ahead and eliminate all the filters except the filter for the stock filter that comes in the carburetor for the stock C70. And it really is a pretty ingenious system. It's this little cap. So basically you have a little bowl already that the fuel sits in, and then you've got a gasket and then this little filter right here, which if everything's running correctly, now of course this thing's old and this is an old test car. I have a lot of these kind of parts. If everything's running correctly, the fuel that comes through here, either your primary or your reserve, has to go through that filter before it goes to the bowl, and it pretty much sets a little amount of fuel in this little bowl, so you don't have the gravity feed issues. And it eliminated that. So, you know, run the stock. Actually, that fuel line's a little bit wider diameter. I don't know the exact measurements, but than the fuel line I had in previous, but it's still perfect to fit on the nipples of the carburetor. And then the heat gasket, the separator gasket, you know, I don't know, bigger engine, might want to use it, might not. That's enough for the cosmetic stuff. Let's talk more now about what was really causing the problem. If you remember from my last video, my cam chain was too small. This is a 44 link cam chain. I think stock is 42. And this 44, I measured it out right, and it's perfect. It fits perfectly. It allows the cam gear to fit, and will allow the engine to assemble all the way. So that was a great thing. The other thing that I was stuck on was how to replace it. I was told that the best way to replace it is to use a flywheel puller and to replace it that way. You can get at it from the side of the engine by pulling the flywheel, which is really cool, makes it very easy. So I have a flywheel puller coming, which is a little bit of a problem on that because this is a CDI. This is a later model engine, 82 and later. They go CDI 12 volt, and there's not many of these as opposed to the 6 volt point system. So these pullers tend to be a little more expensive. They can run as high as $48. I found one for 11 bucks, and I'll have links to all this stuff in later videos to show you where you can get all these goodies. So it's on its way here, as well as the stock intake. I have the stock intake coming that matches the bolt pattern of the new carburetor. I went with a 20 millimeter carburetor instead of the stock 17 size. I wanted this all to be pretty much be a stock setup, other than, of course, the upgrade kit. I wanted it to fit to the stock air intake, and I'll talk later about how you can make the stock air intake breathe better for the larger diameter that it's going to be dealing with. Now, my biggest problem was the measurements. The stock measurement is basically the way it works is from block to head is 7 inches, from the carb, which is right there, to block, 6.5 inches, and then from the bottom of the carb, which is right there, to where would be the bottom, it's 12.5 inches. Pretty much across the board, you're looking at between an inch and a half and a half-inch difference, longer or wider or thicker, with the upgrade kit put on. Now, in some cases that doesn't matter, but in the most important case, where it mounts to the air intake, this carburetor here, where it mounts into the air intake, right here, I just trying with all my might, I couldn't get this to fit on with the upgrade kit. So I had to look for a carburetor that had a half-inch thinner diameter, and I think that there was a lot of designing going on with this kit, and in doing so, I knew that there would be a carburetor out there that probably would bolt up to a stock system. I just had to find it. Now, the problem that I'm talking about is between here and here is 3 inches. It's a half-inch too long, and even with the play in the air intake, I couldn't get it to fit. And then I found this carburetor, and I know without further research that this carburetor was designed for this kit. It's a 20 millimeter carburetor, and you can see the difference in size. That's a pesky hose. See the difference in size there. But yet, and it has all the hookups, which is great. Dual for primary and reserve and choke cable. It's all identical. Of course, this pattern is 48, so you need a new intake, which is coming, that's going to adapt for that because this is smaller. But I don't know if you can tell. Maybe on this side you can. This is 3 inches. This carburetor is 3 inches. From here to here is 3 inches. Man, I love this camera equipment. It gives you 2 hands. This one here is 2.5. Gave me my half-inch. Boom! That carburetor made the kit work. It all bolted in and it all fits. The other thing I wanted to talk about, which I didn't go over in an earlier video, is the spark plug that comes with the kit. Let's see, I'm going to be testing my camera equipment now. That is the manufacturer of the plug. It looks like it's a 7, so the heat range is right. But look at this. Come on, baby, zoom in. Oh, wow, what a nice picture. 3-tab electrode. You see that? 3 tabs. Now, I tried this plug on my wife's stock Passport. Awesome difference. I felt it. I found it. I tested it on my hot Passport. Mine's a little hotter. It's got a. I've done things to it, made it a little hotter. Also, big difference. So I'm excited about using this plug, and this comes with the kit. So really, to make this kit work, you're only talking about adding a cam chain to it, and I believe for the C70 series engines, it's going to be the 84 link, which is going to be universal for all of them. So if that's included in this kit, that's going to take a lot of the headaches away. Of course, in earlier videos, I talked about some minor modifications at the block, but seriously, they're minor. A Dremel takes care of it. The good news is, at this point, either with the parts I have here or the parts that are coming, I have everything that I need to make this kit work, and that's exciting. So, in closing, I want to thank two entities. My first entity that I want to thank. It's a good thing my video is not showing the rest of my house right now. Anyway, my wife is a character. The first video I want to, see, I can't even think, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to soldier on. The first entity that I want to thank is Too Fast Moto. They're the ones that came up with that cam chain for me and sent it out to me. They back their products. I like their service. They answer the emails. Their prices are better than competitive. They're not paying me to say this, but I shop around a lot. I buy a lot of different parts from different places all over the world. These guys, so far, bottom line, best ever. So if you're looking for any parts for your motorcycle, try Too Fast Photo first. They sell a lot on eBay, but you can also buy directly from their website. Okay, the other, my Yahoo group, Honda C70 Passport. You know, I should know the name of the founder. I think it's Mike. But I want to thank him for founding that group. It's over 8,000 members. And seriously, it's a really good group of people. I've been with that group now for about 4 or 5 years. They've been very helpful. There are some key people in that group that are just always there for you. Baby Huey is one of them. Shout out to you, Baby Huey. You're awesome. Mike also comes on board a lot. And then there's a lot. Believe me, there's tips from everybody. You have a problem. You have a C70 Honda. Go to Yahoo's group, Honda C70 Passport group. Ask a question there. It's free. You will get an answer from a qualified person who's been there and done that. I just want to say, between my Yahoo group and buying from Too Fast Photo, I am actually going to get a kit that I paid less than $150 for, working on a stock C70 and raising the cubic centimeters to 100. And I do believe now, finally, this kit will work. Stay tuned for future videos of it all coming together.